This is Jen and Lisa, and this is the Sexcapade Chronicles, episode 6. Episode 5 got a little messed up along the way with some technical difficulties, so there's not really an end. And then it's two middle parts put together because we had some, vibration issues, I think. So today, hopefully, put that all back together again.
Some negativity drained the fucking battery. It's supposed to be 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Under 30 minutes, it was totally drained.
So we, took some precautionary measures to reset the tone of my wonderful home and cleaned and saged it. So we decided to kind of give you a bonus episode this week because we felt like you didn't get enough of us in our episode 5 given the technical difficulties. So today we're going to start off our episode with talking about
shitty people
and how they can ruin your excitement.
Yes.
So, we were talking about this before the episode about like when you're really excited about something and you go to share with your significant other, your friend, and then they'll figure out a way to shit all over it. Mm-hmm. By that I mean, I'm so excited that I'm speaking at World Mental Health Day. And then
I don't know, can you handle that? What are you going to say? What if nobody likes it?
Are you afraid of how that's going to affect your business? What are people going to think?
Right, instead of being happy and excited, they just find the negatives and shit on it.
Exactly, instead of being like, oh, you're so brave, like, you hate public speaking.
Right.
So we were on TV this morning with ABC with Kirsten, and we were lucky enough to be able to talk about mental health awareness because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we may have some mental issues that are currently being treated.
I canceled my therapist appointment on my way here.
And I canceled mine this morning as well, so.
Sometimes you're just not in a good place to deal with shit.
I think, and we talked about this earlier, like, sometimes you're so overwhelmed that you just can't even take anymore.
Right.
And we have our plates runneth over with a lot of trauma this week. And people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but her and I both went through very traumatic events, which is like the basis for my PTSD and the severity of it, and I think for yours as well.
That's why I see a therapist.
Yes, and when both of those things are happening, like out of the clear blue sky, basically, and you're reliving it, it's very in the moment. So as we shot episode 5, we were in the midst of all of this, and we're professionals and are able to pull it together to be able to still do our jobs, but it doesn't mean off camera we're not having hard conversations. Mm-hmm. You and your husband aren't picking me up to take me to the movies last night to get me out of the house. Like, we do always need help. And we talked about that this morning.
Right. You need to have someone, a partner, a friend, someone that you can lean on. Because we're all going to have times where we just can't.
And the shitty people part, there's a lot of shitty people in the fucking world, people.
So fucking sick of shitty people.
Like, they're really toxic and drain you. And, a lot of times, as my significant other, that may not be my significant other today, who knows? So,
it changes on a daily basis,
well, it's very fluid. I only say that because, I'm really irritated at the moment. But, what did he say yesterday? I don't remember. Anyways. I think it's one of those things where he's like, why do you have so many shitty people in your life? Like, it's my fault.
Right.
These things happen. And I think that a lot of times when people blame you as though you've chosen to have these negative events happen, it does not help matters.
Right. Well, we don't go and pick shitty people. We pick someone that we think is cool, we get along with, they're normal, and then they're not.
And I think that because we trust people, like to a certain extent, so people, because we're kind people, we have good hearts, you want to see always the good and not sit there and have your wall up all the time. Not, because that's just exhausting. And you want to let people in if you're healing. And I think a lot of times that, you get taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. Especially when we, in our jobs and such, you always have to have your guard up. And so in our personal lives, a lot of times are like fucking train wrecks. I'm going to be really honest.
It's exhausting having a wall up.
Yeah.
I have for the past year, and I didn't realize it until we were having these talks, and like child custody and all that. I've had a wall up for a year, and I didn't even realize it.
And I think that I feel like really screwed over in the sense that like I finally learned to let my wall come down, and when it's all used against you and exploited, and people do very unkind things such as buy your apartment. Just putting it out there, that really did happen. True story. Maybe you shouldn't bug the person's apartment that has a PI video with them. There might perhaps be ways to track such things. Just gonna put it out there to anyone that thinks it's like fun to fuck with me in that way at this point in my life.
It's good to have a PI on your side.
A little bit, a lot of it, you know. So yesterday when I was going through it, I was very fortunate, you know, that you were there for me, and you help so many people all the time that think they're going crazy because some asshole has decided to gaslight them, deflect, project.
Right. Well, it's also knowing who's actually legitimately crazy and who's not. Because there are people fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But then it really happens, and I've learned, one of the things I've learned is the crazy stuff is the real stuff.
Because that's like unbelievable, the scenario that like, if you had not seen everything, would you believe that this was going on? Given who did it.
Right.
You know, like, those are the things that I think are the hardest, is like when it's the people closest to us are the ones that are doing these things. I don't know if it's because you're trying to get a one-up, you don't want to see you happy, I'm doing too well and you want to undo me.
Right.
I don't ever understand.
People do. I think as soon as you start doing good, people, they don't like it.
But why?
I keep telling you, they're gonna come for me. I have ex-husbands. It's gonna come for me.
I know, but the hater club, we've talked about this before, but it's when your friends, I think, turn on you. I think that's the hardest thing, is like when the people that are closest to you and like help get you through these horrible things so you're still here are the ones that are basically like digging your grave for you. It's harder to have perspective of like some random person trolling me on the internet versus it's a personal dig. I mean, do you feel like there's a very big distinction?
I've never had a friend completely, like, go after me. I've had a friend she officiated our wedding and then disappeared last August. Yeah. Not a word. I have no idea what happened. But I've never had someone come after me. That was, like, someone who was my best friend, I thought, and then was like, you're a piece of shit, bye, without even an explanation.
And I think that the stronger, I guess, our voices get, because, like, our viewership and, like, being able to be such big public figures or personas and such, I've dealt with it for a lot longer, because I've been, you know, in the public eye for over 6 years. And the hater club, like, I had to get thicker skin earlier on. But I also have had to deal with, like, you know, parents that were very negative and such, and, like, I was conditioned to believe the negative things at a very young age. So it's that much harder, I think, to tell yourself it's not true or you didn't do something, because that's the PTSD. That's take the plays in your head, is I did something to deserve this negative feedback. If I was such a great person and doing
good things, only good things would happen. Bad things wouldn't happen if I was doing good in life.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be attacked by, like, the people closest to me. They wouldn't be exploiting and, you know, trying to hurt me. And I think that, you know, given that a lot of people don't know the extent of my going to treatment and such, like, you know, going to 6 hours a day of outpatient therapy, you know, most days, like, I was on TV before I even went to treatment in the morning, and then going to, you know, Pacific Trauma Center, you know, an outpatient trauma center on top of shock therapy, to be able to even think for an hour a day again, to come back from that, to have people, like, trying to tear you down. So I'm saying this, like, as a person that's like, I don't understand. If I've had to work that hard, why in the hell do people feel the need to...
We don't understand, because we're not the shitty people. We're not the people out there attacking people and trying to start shit and hurt people.
And from the moment we met, we've always tried to build each other up and figure out how we can work together. And those are the people I think that there's not enough of, because those are the shiny people that are always going to have your back, show up, be there, like, you know, to support you through those times. And those are the people that help you grow the most. I mean, and without those people, you kind of go into a deep, dark place pretty quickly, because of the shitty people's opinions and such being such a strong force.
Yeah, there's enough shitty people out there, whether it's school for, like, teenagers, if it's at work for adults. I mean, even little kids are fucking assholes. I mean,
bullying. I mean, like, teaching high school those years.
I'm talking like grammar school. Kids are fucking assholes.
I know, but I was bullied by my students. Like, I mean, I'm just putting it out there. In first grade, they were singing, like, Lollipop with 50 Cent. Like, you know, like, you know, Magic Stick, that's what it was. You know, like, sexually harassing their teacher. I mean, like, like, it's so different from when we went to school. I mean, our parents would have kicked our asses if we behaved like this.
Mine wouldn't have. They would have ignored it or something.
Mine would have told me to go fight my own battles, but, you know. and take it out on the soccer field or something like that. But, you know, like, we're not here to be negative. It's more like that people don't talk about these things, like the cyberbullying, what goes on Facebook, people trolling. Like, we have a lot of friends that get really hurt by posts. People put negative shit on, like, comments. People defriend people, whatever it is. And on social media, it means that you're somehow able to say whatever you want without repercussion. Right. You hide behind your computer versus, I would never say this to somebody's face.
It's the pussy layout.
Exactly. So we say this to your face. Why would... Right. I mean, well, it's like one of those things of, you get to be that kind of person without repercussions a lot of the time. And I will be damned if I give people the reaction that they want.
Right. It's easier to hide behind. I mean, like, my husband has made fun of me because we'll be in a fight. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm fine. I'm not mad. And then 4 hours later, I'm texting him, you're a fucking asshole. And he's like, there it is. Because it's easier when you're not facing somebody to just put it in writing and hit send and it's gone.
I think a lot of times it also is because, like, we trigger something in them, like negative feelings that they don't want to deal with. So, like, we're that mirror you don't want to see, the accountability. And we were talking about this morning, you know, like, before we met, like, you didn't want to face some of your issues and such. And I think it sometimes is overwhelming. Like, I'm a lot of it, always have been, always will be. And, like, but, like, this force that's, like, you know, coming at you, I'm like, oh, here's what's wrong. And, like, you know, deer in headlights, like, maybe you don't want to hear that. Right. It's hard, you know, to sometimes take on those things, or,
I think people see the strength and they want to destroy it.
But only weak people would ever be threatened by strength.
Well, right. That's what I tell my kids. If someone's picking on you, they're probably told at home what a piece of shit they are. And so they take it out on someone else.
So we're still in elementary school is what you're saying, on the playground. In grown-up life.
I've told my girls, it doesn't matter how old you get. You're going to be a 50-year-old woman having a job and it's still be the catty talking shit amongst women.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. And I think that it's so important that, like, you know, women unite, like, around each other as well as men, like, to have the positive relationships and connections, because the depression and anxiety epidemic is real. Like, I don't know most grown-ups that don't have one or both, much less trauma in addition, and, like, that feeling of loneliness. You know, like, if you look at the celebrities that commit suicide, everyone's like, oh, they look so happy.
Those are the people that are the saddest. They put on that smiling face and they project, think about how they want to feel on everyone else. They don't want to see sad people, so they try to make them laugh and smile.
See, that's like what I like identified most with the last couple of years is like Robin Williams. Like, if I can't make myself feel better, I want to entertain others. Right. Because that's what I can control. I can control that outcome, but I can't make me feel better. Right. And so people are always like, well, how do you smile and do it? And like, I smile and do it because, like, what else am I going to do? Sit here and have my pity party by myself? Or try to find purpose in being able to help others and bring them joy?
I think it's easier for me just because I have kids, so I have to fake it. I mean, there were times when I could not get out of bed. I mean, I did because I had to. I mean, I have to get to school. Yeah. But it's like, okay, I have to get up. I have to fucking adult. I have to mom. I have to do this shit. And let me do it with a smile on my face so my kids aren't like, oh, what's wrong with mom?
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, as I've said before, a lot of times, like, I'm very grateful that I don't have children because, like, I would traumatize them to no end, I'm sure. But I also think it would give me an extra responsibility that I don't currently have in a way of, like, I have to leave my house. Typically, someone has to come to get me or give me a reason. Because I don't like to go out anymore, and I don't like to socialize in that way because of the things that have gone on, because of the trauma and everything else. And, like, you know, I get so in my head, it is such an ordeal to me, unless there's another person involved to leave. Right. And having the kids, at least you have to get out of bed in the morning, you have to leave the house.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I mean, they could walk, I guess. Sometimes my youngest prefers it. She's 11. She's like, I just want to listen to music and walk by myself. So I don't need you anymore.
Okay, so speaking of children. So yesterday we polled you guys, and tons of you responded, and we talked about positive reinforcement. So positive reinforcement is basically being able to reward the good behavior and ignore the negative. So if I said, Lisa, you're an asshole, she would ignore that. But when I said she's a great person, she'd be like, thank you so much for that compliment. Right. You ignore the bad, reinforce the good. Right. And 100% of you said that this is an effective way to communicate versus, I think you're an asshole.
Okay, but out of the 100% that said it's a good way to do it, how many actually do it that way? Because it's easier to be like, you're a fucking asshole, than be like, okay, you did super good today, but how about...
Oh, absolutely. It's like easier said than done.
Right.
Yeah, but like people think it's a great thing because they don't want to have their feelings hurt, I guess. Be called an asshole. I think it's a compliment, but it means I was honest.
Right.
But I think that we live in a society where everyone, like, it's kind of like hypocritical. Like, I want to only hear the positive, but like they're the ones that are talking shit and trolling on the internet with the negative.
It drives me crazy, the whole like people, like, we call them like snowflakes. Like, you have to be super sensitive, you can't hurt their feelings, and it drives me crazy. Because as a kid, there were bullies, and you just dealt with it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, everyone's hypersensitive.
And everything has to be politically correct, because God forbid.
And I'm not good at that.
And I'm not either, but I know when I have to be,
right.
And then then there's this.
I think I've cussed more this time than any other episode.
She's had a rough day, so we just decided it would be really good to get it out like this. So if it ever airs, who cares?
Right.
It's totally fine, because this is very therapeutic in a lot of ways, because these are all the things that we don't want to burden our significant others and friends with.
Right.
So
you hear about fucking shitty people.
Okay, so let's talk about how this plays out in relationships, because, this is the Sexcapade Chronicles. So I made many a men cry over the years. No, I know you weren't prepared for that little twist, but, being a shitty person and all, in my 20s and such, I didn't want to be in a relationship and everyone wanted to be in one with me. And I was playing the dating game, I was living in SoCal, I moved back here, and people got their feelings hurt. Now, I told them I didn't want a relationship and I didn't want that, but I was still the shitty black-hearted bitch that would not let them spend the night. Now, when we go back to the positive reinforcement and shitty people, is that shitty to be dating and saying you don't want?
If you're saying it, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, I always think that, the truth is the best way, and my parents, my father used to say to me, can't you just put some coating on that? Sugar, water it down, sugar gets you further than vinegar and all this stuff.
Right.
And I could never understand it as you were talking about, the kids and everything else. I'm like, why can't we just say it like it is? And it's this whole idea, you're supposed to be kind and babysit someone else's feelings.
Oh, I'm not good at that either.
So in your marriages, do you...
That was plural. Yeah, you heard that.
No, I mean, would you like to meet up? I don't want to fuck her.
So, the first one, I was young. I was no good at that. Second one, I was so busy protecting myself. I never had to sugarcoat anything because I was always defending myself. Mm-hmm. With the current one, my last one, fingers crossed, I have to be more careful because he is a good guy.
Yeah.
So I need to watch what I say. When I just want to, I can call you and be like... You
can say whatever to me. It doesn't face me
I'm so
at all.
fucking frustrated or I'm, whatever it is. I have to not be a bitch, is basically...
So this is why it's so important to have friends, though. I think that, a lot of the times, we, our significant other bears the brunt of our crazy and our feelings. Because, it's the last straw. That's who you, go home to at the night, the last person you talk to.
Right.
Shit's gone on all day long, and that one last little annoying thing is the, straw that breaks the camel's back.
And it can be just the stupidest thing, leave one cupboard open. Something that means nothing. Throwing your clothes in the laundry basket and they miss and go on the floor. Something so stupid can just be, the end of the world to you because all day you've been so stressed out.
Because I'm an inconsiderate asshole, that didn't, put their shit away in their correct place, because that would just set me off, too.
I'm used to it. I don't know.
I mean, a conversation about, asking about screws earlier, set me over the edge. If you don't know the context of this, it sounds really trivial. However, I think a lot of times people don't think about the other side of how it's going to sound, can't be empathetic.
I think guys do that a lot. I think good guys do I think good guys do it because they're good guys, they're not thinking about it in a negative way. They're just kind of being honest of what their thoughts are. See, I've been thinking it's more that they're not emotionally mature. Because, being able to have empathy means you think beyond yourself. I think they speak without thinking. But that's emotional maturity. We know when to think before we speak and then when we can't. Here. Right. Versus our day jobs. And, being on TV this morning, I was I'm so proud we didn't say any bad words. That's not one time. Exactly. So, if we can turn it on and off, why can't they? Right. Learn to think beyond themselves. Everyone has good moments and bad moments. I mean, there's times I can't. I'm just gonna say whatever thought pops into my head, and I'm like, oh, that seemed kind of cunty.
She said cunty, by the way. That's a new word.
It's the mood I'm in.
I like it. We're gonna have to hashtag that one. Lisa's new catchphrase: Hummus Express cunty. I think that this is we're gonna make a whole clothing line of inappropriate things that describe our personalities.
Right. Will not be sold in Target or anything.
Definitely online only.
Right. Hashtag cunty. I like it.
I think so, great. See, this is the place of opportunity and creativity.
Kim on that.
Kim, here's your new project. Hashtag cunty. Alrighty.
I love it.
See, now we're laughing. The scowls from the beginning of the episode, 21 minutes ago, till we have new hashtags that we're very excited in clothing lines. So, when people talk about the power of having friends and unapologetically, speaking and having people that around you support you and understand you're crazy.
And I think that's honest. Because you don't want a friend that's oh no, they're wrong, you're right. You need a friend that's wow, that was kind of cunty.
Exactly.
You need someone that's going to be honest and not sugarcoat everything to where they don't hold you accountable.
And I think that's really important, though, as our friendships, because we're such big personalities, we can take it and give it out just as easily. A lot of people I don't think can do that and want people to sit there and babysit their feelings.
Right.
So you should not be friends with us. Just kidding, but not. Because you can't sit here on any given day, because we just say it this is literally a conversation we would be having with or without the camera.
Right.
Or there's probably more fucks and inappropriate things if there's no camera, but that's fine.
It's exhausting trying to babysit someone's feelings.
But it's so much more there's a sense of relief that we say all of this and get it out. So for those of you at home who are what is wrong with the two of you? This
Do we make a list?
Well, you already know. But nonetheless, we entertain you with it. I think that it's really important that you have people to share and you're crazy with. And that have the same kind of crazy. And when I talk about Mental Health Awareness Month, this is kind of a very good example of being conscientious and surrounding yourself with people that understand what you need, what kind of support. Is it tough love day? Is it empathy day? Is it I just need to vent? I don't want to hear your opinion day? Because we all have those different moods and such, and we have to be very conscientious to not push the person over the edge.
Right, you have to know your friend enough to know kind of where they're at.
Yeah.
To know if you just speak the truth and wow, no, you're wrong, or if you're look at it this way.
Yeah, I mean, I walked outside last night and her and her husband were in the car, and I thought I was meeting them at the movie theater. So, apparently that was very preventative and good, because I was going to obviously be late to the movie. And by the end of it, I was laughing. I was not in a good place, not talking on the way there.
I was glad you were laughing.
Yeah, and I think we saw...
Long Shot?
Long Shot. It was very funny.
Oh my god, such a good movie. Way better than I thought it was going to be.
And I convinced you to go out, and your husband, in the beginning before all the shit hit the fan.
Right.
And in the end, I was so glad that we all did it together, even though I got called the third wheel. It's fine.
You're called the third wheel. Actually, I think I called this a threesome. I think that's what it was.
Next to the movie critic, because we were in the media section. Have no fear. I'm sorry, movie critic from the SACB.
Sometimes words fly out of this face.
There was 4 other seats. He could have scooted over. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Because he was sitting there when Justin and I came over there, and then we're okay, we have one more. I'm hope you don't feel cramped, and he's oh, I'm good, and sat there the entire time, and there was the entire row. I was it's not you're right in the middle, and it was I thought that was very interesting. Did he really want to be that close to me? Did he know who I was? And then I'm shushing you and Justin, because I was you don't know who's sitting next to me. And I was we're going to lose our privileges. Get sent to the penalty box at movie premieres.
It was fun, though. It was awesome.
Yeah, so we get to do a lot of fun things together, but that's because we started leaving our house.
They're not coming to our houses to bring the movie premieres.
No, unfortunately not. But we talked about it earlier today, it's really hard when you have depression, anxiety, PTSD, to find the strength to leave your house.
For me, it was actually, and I had forgotten about it because I didn't have depression for a while. And then I want to say 3 Halloweens ago, it was I could not like, take a shower. And it was Halloween. Mm-hmm. And it was just, like, it was almost physical pain, and I forgot that it can get that bad.
The debilitation.
Yeah, because I wasn't used to it. It had gone away for so long. So I stopped kind of thinking about it. Yeah. Now it's kind of, like, every day it's, okay, do I have anxiety? Am I feeling depressed? And kind of working through it before it can overcome me.
Yeah, because I think that's part of, like, the trauma part. Like, that's where my brain shut down. Was literally, there was so much that it couldn't even sort through it anymore. And the fight or flight never turned off. So there was no cognitive reasoning with all the emotions and being so overwhelmed and having shoved it away for 33 years, which I don't recommend doing because I cried for 6 months straight and had to live out all the trauma of my childhood of crying and everything else that went on. So I think that, like, you know, you're doing a much healthier thing by identifying your emotions.
I hid from them for a long time, and I was okay with it. I mean...
I'm always okay with hiding from my feelings.
Until my husband, Justin was like, maybe. And he was super nice about it. He wasn't like, you're fucking crazy, go see someone. He's like, maybe you need to talk to somebody. I was like, fine. Like a 2-year-old. Fine.
But do you feel like, though, since we started talking about trauma and PTSD and we've started, like, spending more time doing the podcast, that your relationship's gotten better with Justin?
It has. Because I never talked about it, not even with him. Mm-hmm. Like, he knew stuff happened, but I never really went into it. Until talking to a therapist about it and realizing it wasn't my fault, because I didn't want to talk about it, because to me, what was I doing there? Why was I there? Why was I with them? Blamed myself. So then she kind of made me realize that a victim can't be blamed, or shouldn't be blamed.
And, okay, so, like, people always talk about the victim. We are not helpless little animals, like, you're, like a victim. We're survivors.
Right.
And I really want to make sure that, like, we're clear on the differences. We've all survived. If we're sitting here talking about it, we've survived trauma, and we're doing our best now to live with the trauma.
Right.
And, like, being the victim implies helplessness, and neither of us are I just, like, being aware and cognizant, because when people say that, like, a lot of times when you go to support groups and stuff, they say you're not a victim. Right. Because you're here to get that support, you've survived.
Right.
You're here. And I really want to make sure that people...
I guess I see it as victim of a crime. I see, like, the more, like, legal part of it. Not the mental and emotional part.
Yeah. I just... putting it out there as someone that didn't ever think about this before I went to treatment, because I never referred to myself as anything other than crazy. So, like, I thought that was a better label, to be honest.
I just owned it at this point.
So this is how I got diagnosed with PTSD. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me, and can you give me a pill? Am I crazy? Because I can live with that.
Right.
And then they said, well, you have depression and anxiety brought on by PTSD. And I think that was the worst thing they could have ever said to me. Like, so how do you fix it? They're like, you deal with your problems.
No, the pill. Come on with the pill.
Because I was like, so there's nothing else wrong. They're like, you're traumatized. But, like, having that reality be your reality, this isn't going away. It's only gotten worse the more I've run from it. Right. I think that, like, that's the worst label you can have put on you, in a way, when you're at your worst. Because it's like, where do I start?
How do I fix it? And you don't really fix it. It's just, you work through it.
And I posted on Facebook a little while ago about this, like, things are hard. It never gets easier having PTSD and like, going through trauma and depression and anxiety, but you learn to cope better. And to utilize your tools. And before you go off the deep end, like, you have friends and other interventions, and you go run, and, like, you teach yourself the symptoms and your emotions and what does this mean if I don't do something, then...
Right. Well, even this morning I woke up and I had to, like, check, because I woke up and I was like, something's off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like always, like, checking in with yourself. I mean, I don't always. Sometimes I'm just, like, a raging cunt, and then I'm like, oh, I really, like, a couple of hours ago I probably should have, like, checked in with my head and see what was going on.
But life happens, and that's kind of like, like, how we get so escalated by the end of the day, that, like, shirt on the floor, like, sends you off the deep end.
I'm, like, ready to burn a whole fucking house down because the shirt.
Rational stuff. Totally rational. But I think that, like, this probably makes people feel better, because, like, people are married, people are in relationships, people are struggling, and think they're the only one.
Right. I did. I mean, with my ex-husband, I thought I was alone in being a shitty, cheating spouse.
Lo and behold, I was having a hysterectomy and dying almost practically, several times during surgeries, and he was cheating on me while I was in the hospital. So, people cheat and do really fucked up things, even when you're at your worst, your best, doesn't matter.
Right.
And so I think that I would really like to put that out there is like, you know, people do bad things. They're shitty people. It has nothing to do with your character.
Right.
Because like so much of the time we blame ourselves when people do bad things to us. Keep being a good person. Don't let them get to you because that's what they want.
Right.
They want like you to feel like shit like they do.
Right. That's what happens like if you're with a cheater though too. Or with someone that's just a bad person, you think, well, if I would do this differently, if I was nicer. And you kind of put it on yourself.
Well, I mean, like, I was told it was because of the stress of me getting sick and having cancer, and then I gained weight, and all these other things. So you completely internalize it as that narrative, because that's the one they've given you.
Right.
If you just hadn't done these things, I wouldn't have been a horrible person to you. And to retrain yourself not to think like that is, like, a lot of work.
Yeah.
Especially when
daily.
Yeah, every day. And like when negative things happen, you're like, what did I do? That's the first thing I think of how did I bring this on? Like, what did I do now?
Right.
And most people would never think that this happy person that runs around like a lunatic but is very happy about it would like
in a swimsuit in the snow.
You know, we all have to have our fun. But these are the things that people don't realize actually go through our minds, even though we may exemplify people that are very confident and running around in the snow in a Baywatch bathing suit, that we still have doubts and insecurities about ourselves because of what other people have done to us that we didn't get a choice in. So, on that positive note, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will do our best to be more hilarious in our next one. We're going to post some more polls. Please keep writing in. We love your stories. It inspires our topics. We use your suggestions, questions, and poll answers to make these podcasts. If you want to sponsor it, let us know. We're super excited where this is going. And make sure that you come see me speak May 22nd at Mental Health Matters Day at the Capitol. 30 minutes of this.
Me and my husband will be there. We'll be the obnoxious ones.
The fan club. You can go join and ask her husband how he deals with the two of us together. Until next time, you guys. Have a good afternoon.